I want to congratulate the Democrats on their vice president pick. He's not weird at all. No, he's not weird. He just like Clinton. You know what I mean? Seemed to be just like Clinton. Well, with that being said, let's watch him abandon his battalion. It's sad. It's sad. This is politics. We gotta look into people, you know what I mean? See what they're about. Cross reference, check them out. And it would seem to me that Timmy ain't starting off good. Timmy. How could you?
A lot of National Guardsmen that I spoke to in Minnesota were upset that Tim Walz, the two-term governor of Minnesota, was chosen as Kamala Harris's VP pick, largely because they said he was a traitor and a coward. He'd been with the National Guard in both Nebraska and Minnesota for about 20 years. In 2005, when his unit was about to deploy for fighting in Iraq, he retired. And this was seen as, a great sort of instance of cowardice on his part. Now, he did retire in order to run for Congress at that time. That's what his excuse was. And he did win his congressional seat after that campaign. But I spoke to a few of his former colleagues in the National Guard who were very upset by that. And the other thing that they were upset by is that he was using in his public relations bio on his website when he was a congressman that he had achieved a particular rank of commanding sergeant major. And in fact, he hadn't achieved that. He was working on it. So he should have retired as a master sergeant. That's what technically he was, and it was a lesser rank than he was promoting for himself. The man who stepped in to fill in for Walz when he decided to retire in 2005 was a man named Tom Behrens, and he's from Minnesota. He's a farmer. And he said he had no ill will at the time towards Walz. At that point, he said to me, I had 500 troops. I had to reassure them we were about to go to war, and I didn't even have time to be upset. But afterwards, when he saw Walz promoting himself, as having achieved this rank that he hadn't achieved, that's when he started to get angry. And that's when he started writing letters, and he wrote letters to Walz while he was a congressman. He said they were never answered. And finally, he went public. In 2018, when Walz ran for governor of Minnesota, Tom Behrens wrote an open letter with another colleague saying that, he was, not that he lied about his military service, but he wasn't being forthcoming, and that he had left before he ever saw combat. So one thing about Tim Walz was that he had this long storied career in the National Guard, but he'd never been in a combat situation. He'd been to the Arctic Circle. He'd helped during natural disasters in the Midwest. He'd been up to Norway and to Italy, but he hadn't seen actual combat.
You know what's strange about that? He's pretending to be something. Kamala pretending to be something. Ain't that funny? That is kind of funny. Now it makes sense why she picked him. Timmy.